All right, we are back, and this is the first podcast we're doing with under 2 weeks to go to the big event. We're really excited for the Utah Coalition for Educational Technology event, which is coming up in Salt Lake City on March 19th and 20th. I'm extremely excited, and through this time and working with individuals, I want to bring on our presenters and talk about their work, get you excited for the sessions that they're presenting, and give you a little inside look to what will be happening in Utah. So tonight we are welcoming in Kayla Towner. How are you today?
Hi. I'm great. Super great.
Awesome.
Super excited
So
about the conference and everything.
wonderful. So those who don't know you, feel free to share your work.
So a little bit about me, I guess.
Yeah, a little about
Yeah.
you, a little about the work you're
Okay.
doing.
Yeah, for sure. So this would probably be my 11th and a half year in education. And honestly, I never thought I'd be in education. Like I thought I was be in business, and then I thought I'd be in health and exercise science. And then I taught in Korea for 2 years. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to be a teacher now, and got my master's in Utah, and then worked in Davis School District. And I started with third graders, and I'm like, they're amazing. So excited. And then I taught second, and I was like, well, maybe I'm not great for super young. So then I went right back up to fifth grade and saw the amazing things they could do in the classroom and how much technology was able to leverage students that needed help, that struggled a bit, to those high level students that needed an extender. And so then I really strived in the technology world within my district. And then I have now been with Utah Education Network for about 2.5 years now. And I am the product manager of Utah's online school library. And they call us a senior technical trainer, but no one really knows what that is. So I'm a technology specialist, educator, instructor, and learner. I guess that's all around it. So I try to support all Utah educators with training, demonstrating with various digital tools and strategies to help support them in their classrooms. So that's where I am now.
Yeah, that seems like a lot. You're taking a lot, but supporting so many people. Like, do you find it rewarding in the work that you do? Like,
Oh, definitely. When I can make a teacher's life easier, because there's so much teacher burnout right now coming down on them. If I can find a way to make their lives a little bit easier, helping them find a tool or a strategy that can meet all student needs, or helping them find a way to communicate better, or have their students critically think, or help them find a resource, that makes me additionally very happy because I know how
yeah,
hard it can be.
and that seems like a little bit of a transition from a third and second grade teacher into to working in the capacity you're at now. Like, what drove you to do that?
Honestly, one of the teachers asked me, they saw that I was using a technology tool as a library media specialist. Her name was Leslie, and she was fantastic. And she's like, hey, can you talk about this at a conference on this? I think it was everything. It was an iPad tool. I was like, I'm not great with it. She's like, you'll be fine. So, my first year of being an educator, I presented to all these people at my Davis School District conference. And from then on, once I bumped up to fifth grade, I saw what fifth graders could do. And I just like dove right into Microsoft tools because my district was a Microsoft district.
Okay.
And I really just like honed in on everything. Like I did Microsoft Teams, notebooks, sways, presentations, and I would present to other educators and how they can utilize these tools. And then we got into Canvas heavy, and I then supported that way. So any way I could support technology wise, I dove in because if it helped my students, if it engaged them, made them excited, and again, like I said before, it met all levels of learners. Because sometimes I think with technology, at times we either focus in on our gifted students and forget about students that have disabilities. They also can really highly benefit from these tools. So that was something I really wanted to help support those students with.
Yeah, and one of the things that Kayla mentioned about being a library and media specialist, this is the first year that the Utah Coalition for Educational Technology Conference is combining with the Utah
Yeah.
Educational Library and Media Association. So it's really exciting to bring both of these groups of educators together. And I also know from talking to the organizers, there's going to be administrators there, and that's my role in as assistant superintendent is working with administrators. So there's a lot of educators coming together and sharing their work and their resources. And you're sharing your work in a few sessions at the event.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to share the sessions that you'll be a part of.
Yeah, so one of them, so two of them are personalized competency-based learning, and that's something I dove right into once it was starting to come through my district, and that was something I was trying to implement into my school before I left the district. But it's something where I really kind of failed my students initially. Like I said, I was really technology heavy, but I kind of like lost a little bit on focusing on making sure they met content. So really goal setting or having them do that. And so in these sessions, I'm showcasing teachers how they can focus in on um, the framework that we have implemented, Portrait of a Graduate within Utah. And I focus heavily on student agency and how they can provide choice and voice, and then having those students goal set and being reflective. So in one of them, I show how they can do that within Nearpod, because Nearpod
Okay.
is a free state tool, and seeing how they could do that within their classroom. So I'm showing them different Nearpods they can use, or how they can use Nearpod, so students have that choice and how they want to show mastery, and how they can maybe go at their own pace throughout a Nearpod. Or you can implement like different tools within there of doing a virtual tour, or even PhET simulations, or 3D with AR and VR in there. But it just allows them an opportunity to, I guess, be vulnerable and scared to give their students a bit more control, because that's hard for a lot of teachers and the work that goes
Absolutely.
into it. But like anything new, you got to put a little bit effort into it initially. But once you have it in place, it becomes something where you just streamline it from there. And then with my other one is unleashing the power of personalized competency-based learning. I kind of walk through with educators on the process of like getting your brain to think in that way and setting
Hmm.
it up, like looking at your standards, because standards can be kind of confusing and a little bit convoluted at times, and making it clear for students of why are they learning this? How will they know they'll be successful at the end of this lesson? And getting their input into it too, I think is really big. And so that's something why I attach to it so much. Um, and I think, like my son, he's high level, like him having to hold back and not being able to push forward. I think that he wouldn't like learning or going to school, and giving those students that opportunity, they can do that versus the other students that are like, hey, I need a little bit of help. Can we go back and do this again? Getting you to come back with them in small groups, or having them watch a video again, or dive into maybe a near pod, let's say again, to understand a certain content or unit they may not have understood.
Now, you had talked about being a second and third grade teacher. Did you bring some of these strategies to your classroom?
I did. So that app, I can't remember the name of it. In my second grade class, I did use it. I think it was like everything something, but
Explain
that's where
everything.
explain everything. That's it. Okay, I couldn't remember. I did use that with them because I felt like it was an easy way for them on iPads to easily click through. And then I also we did PowerPoint on it also. So I taught my second graders how to create a very simple like title. And nowadays with PowerPoint, what they can do with, I think it's called, not Search Coach, but it helps you, it coaches you, like it's an AI. But that would have been really helpful for my second graders with presenting skills and knowing how to project or look at their audience, or not using the filler words in there. But those are some ways I did use with my second graders, and not as much as my third. We did more hands on, but with my second graders, for sure, I did.
And one of the things, as a former elementary principal, one of the things that I've heard, and I would push back as well, but I'd love your opinion, is that they're too young to start to use this technology, or they're not ready yet. What are your
Oh,
thoughts on that statement?
oh, that's false. I mean, false. I've gone into my son's kindergarten class, and I did a near pod lesson on digital citizenship, and then also a lesson on how to use it. If it's like any procedure, we do procedures at the beginning of the year. We have expectations for our students, and it's the same thing with technology. Once you show them the expectation and give them the time to play with the tool, because anything new, they're going to want to play with it. They're not going to listen
For
to you.
sure.
So giving them that opportunity to play, and then having them learn the tool and learn how the tool is purposeful, to showcase how they can show their learning, I think is really valuable. Because I had students that had teachers saying, "Hey, my teacher just let me play on all this," but then there was no purpose to it. They kind of lost interest in the beauty of the game. Whereas when they found purpose and ways to showcase their learning and extend that learning, they're like, yeah, I want to see how far I can go with this tool to show that, or what else can I do with it? And that's what really got a lot of them excited, even at that young age.
Nice. So you have obviously learned a lot in your own capacity to be where you are in your role. What are you looking to learn at the event?
I'm learning to see what other teachers are doing. Like, I talked about AI. I'm sure you know Matthew Winters. He has dove
Yep.
really big into AI, and I definitely learn a lot from him. My other colleagues that I work with, Danny Salone is great with digital citizenship and technology. Katie Blunt is fantastic with e-media tools and open resources. Rob is another colleague of mine that does so much Adobe, and I am not always an Adobe fan. I get a little fearful of Adobe, but he is great in teaching that. And then our newest member, Braxton, he is fantastic with kind of everything across the board. And he was the one that mostly came with the knowledge of how to use AI in the classroom. So I often ask him, like, what kind of prompts did you do have? And so just learning from others and seeing how it can be implemented in the classroom. Because now that I support adults and teachers, I want to make sure I provide them, realistic examples of how they can put it in their own classroom.
So if I go onto your website, one of the first things that we see, and I'm going to throw that below, is this.
Okay. Yeah.
So why is that something that is prominent to you that you're supporting and putting it on your site? Like, how does that speak to you?
I went to a conference once and I can't remember who it was. I think it was Clint Pulver. Can't remember. I'm so sorry. But he talked about how often we strive to be perfect or we compare ourselves to others. We have imposter syndrome. And so that's not a realistic goal, right? And we can't be like everyone else. Everyone has their own situations, but we can strive to be significant to our students, to the people we serve. And that can be different in any way. One might just be a supporting hand and saying, hey, I know you might be struggling with this, but you can do this. Or in another way, some students might just need you to like acknowledge that they give you artwork every day and you post it, or that you're giving them choice in that classroom, or you're really, the kids are saying, hey, Mrs. T, I need a brain break, and just listening in on them. That's being significant to those students. It's different for however you bring it in, but we all can do at least that. We don't have to strive for perfection.
Awesome. I like it. And a lot that you've talked about today is working together in collaboration and learning from other people. So the last question I always ask is, what does stronger together mean to you?
I think it means acknowledging your limitations and also being vulnerable, but then at the same time, seeking help when you don't know, not putting on a facade like, oh, yeah, I know everything, but being okay, being like, I really don't know that. Can you give me your experience and what you've used, and being okay with asking for help?
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking some time today. If you don't follow her, make sure to check out the X handle right there. You can find some of the websites and all the great work that she's doing. And you'll be able to check her out at the event in just under 2 weeks. So, Kayla, thank you for coming on, giving up your time, and I look forward to meeting you in person in the coming
Yeah, me
weeks.
too. Yeah.
Have a
Thank
good
you
day,
so much.
everybody, and we'll see you soon. Continue to tune in as we have presenters leading up all the way to the event. Have a great day, everybody.